All right, welcome everyone to another episode of the Offer Oracle podcast. This is Alyssa Knapp, your host, and I'm so excited for this conversation. I'm talking with Victoria DeVita, who I know through you worked with me a couple years
Yes.
ago, actually, which is wild. It feels like so long ago.
I know.
And I just absolutely love you. I love your energy. You're also just such a boss babe, like everything you're doing is so incredible. And you, Victoria, had posted something recently just last week, I think it was actually, and I was like, you need to come on my podcast. So we need to talk about this. And
Yep.
here we are. So before we dive into it, do you want to just introduce yourself, tell the audience a little bit
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah. So as Alyssa said, I'm Victoria DeVita. I own a marketing firm called Victoria DeVita Co. I do a lot of other things that Alyssa knows of, just
She's
a
the Jill
serial
of all
entrepreneur.
trades. Yep.
Yeah, the Jill of all trades. I'm a serial entrepreneur at heart. But my main one that I've been focusing on a lot recently is Victoria DeVita Co., which, like I said, is a marketing firm. We specialize in helping women-owned businesses. That's like our bread and butter. Obviously, I'm a woman-owned business. I have built it from a freelancing company to a team of 5 now wonderful ladies, all US based, all East Coast based, remote work. I value being an employer as much as I value being a creative and being able to provide that in a healthy way. But yeah, the post that I made last week, I know we'll talk a little bit more about it, but that was just spawned from weeks and slash years of fear and anxiety and questions and concerns that all sort of culminated into I was on a road trip home, and we were like 7 hours into a 17-hour road trip. And I was like, I'm just going to start typing. And that's what led us to today.
I love that. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's when my best content comes out too, is when I'm kind of in that mode and it's like, all right, I just gonna need to get this off of my chest. Like, here's what
100%.
I'm really thinking. Here's what's really going on. And I think we are going to see more and more of that, and we're gonna need to see more and more of that. And that's actually the authenticity that people are really craving from the
Yeah.
online space because everything else is so polished, it's so perfect,
Yep.
it's so, AI driven, right? Obviously, as we know. So, if you don't mind, I would love for you to read the post that you wrote to get us started.
Yeah. So this was on my personal Facebook page that's also sometimes functions as a business page. It really depends on how I'm feeling. But essentially, I was talking about the post says AI is everywhere, like literally everywhere. It's all over our Facebook feeds and other social media. It's on billboards, it's in schools. Every week, there's another tool, another update, another headline promising to change everything. My peers in marketing have been feeling the strain for a while. I've been feeling it too. I'm not going to pretend I don't at least have one mini panic attack every week, wondering what my work, my business, and this entire industry are going to look like in the next 3 to 5 years. I built a business around something I genuinely love doing. I built a team, and I support my family with it. The thought that one day the work that I've spent years mastering could become obsolete is a scary one. I've talked to business coaches, AI experts, business owners, marketers, developers, and everyone seems to have a different opinion. Some think I'm worrying over nothing. Some think the concerns are completely justified. Most land somewhere in the middle. The truth is, AI has already changed my work. Even in the 4 years I've been running this business, the landscape has shifted dramatically. I've watched friends lose jobs. I've watched freelance rates drop. I've watched incredibly talented marketers go back to traditional 9 to 5 jobs because the work simply wasn't there anymore. At the same time, I've watched other friends absolutely thrive. They embraced AI early. They became experts. They're building incredible businesses, creating new technology, teaching others how to use these tools, and making more money than they ever have before. Both realities exist at the same time. And somewhere in the middle of all of this, I've been asking myself one question. What is it that people will always need from another human? The more I've thought about it, the more I've realized that it probably isn't someone to write another blog post or social media caption. AI can do that. Maybe not perfectly, but well enough. What AI can't do is sit across the table from a business owner who's overwhelmed and untangle the mess. It can't recognize the opportunities they're too close to see. It can't connect dots between operations, marketing, sales, customer experience, and long-term growth. It can't replace empathy. It can't replace trust, and it can't replace judgment. That's what I've slowly realized over the last year. My value was never that I knew how to write a Facebook post. My value has always been helping business owners figure out what actually needs to happen next. Ironically, AI has made me even more convinced that strategy is becoming more valuable, not less. Because if everyone has access to the same tools, then the advantage isn't who has ChatGPT. The advantage is knowing what questions to ask, knowing what problems are actually worth solving, knowing when to use AI and when not to. I don't think the future is humans versus AI. I think it's humans who know how to leverage AI without sacrificing authenticity, relationships, or critical thinking. So no, I don't have all the answers. I'll probably still have another mini panic attack next week, which is true, by the way. I still do. But I'm also strangely optimistic because every major shift in technology has forced people to redefine the value they bring to the table. Maybe that's exactly what this moment is asking me to do. I'm excited to figure out what that looks like.
Oh my God, yes. When I read that, it was just like this is what is on so many people's minds and hearts right now with
Yeah.
this boom. And it was interesting because I literally had just had a coffee chat with a friend who's also a copywriter. She had done like a class, a workshop for my group coaching program back in the day, and we still keep in touch and we were catching up, and she actually started a side hustle doing like dog walking and pet sitting. She's
Yep.
like, because she was a copywriter, and she's like, because like not only is AI there, but also just because of the economy too, things shifting and changing. That's not
Yep.
necessarily a priority for everybody or every business. And, she's like, she's like, part of me is like, do I fully pull out or no? Because I worked so hard and for so many
Yeah.
years to build this up, and she built a very successful business. Like, I really admire her I still admire her business, not
Yeah.
past tense. And, I think it's really interesting it's sort of forcing us to be flexible and to be inquisitive and to be curious, right? And it's really forcing us into a corner of trust and surrender and really like figuring out, okay, like this is in front of me right now, like what is next, like what is, and also what do I want to be doing, right?
Yep.
And I think that shifts and changes, right? That really does shift and change over time, and I think that AI does give us that opportunity to kind of see a little bit of, okay, like this now is off of my plate, now I have this like freed up energy or freed up time or freed up space to maybe build into something else. But I went through the same, I was telling you before we hit record, I feel like myself and a lot of people around me over this past probably year or so, but definitely like 6 months, like 4 to 6 months, has been sort of like an existential crisis era of like,
Yep.
who am I? What am I doing? Why am I here? What does differentiate me, not just from AI, but also everybody else doing the same thing as me?
Mm-hmm.
And really leaning into like, okay, what are my strengths? Like, what are the things? And to your point, like, what can I do that only a human can do, that AI can't do? And a robot will never be a human being. Like, it
Yep.
just never will be a human being. And I think that this rise, because it's happened so quickly, so rapidly, that we're finding now people really are craving that humanity. They're really craving that authenticity. And even just like what you wrote, bless you, what you wrote is something that like no, no robot could ever write or
Right.
touch a heart the way that what you wrote, is touching people, right? And has touched people. So I think that's really deep. So what are some of the things that you're doing in this sort of transition? Not even transition, but just like, I mean, I guess it's an ongoing transition that will never
Right.
end.
Yeah. Well, it's been such an interesting point because I feel like in marketing and in this industry specifically, I started seeing AI become a problem, quote unquote, like a problem slash solution, depending on who you're asking. Probably 3 to 4 years ago, when I first started this business, is when ChatGPT first popped on the scene. And Claude was not far behind, or maybe they came out at the same time. Like these AI writers or AI generative, like generative AI, started coming into the playing field probably about 4 years ago, or three and a half years ago. And over time, it went from being a thing that was talked about exclusively by freelance writers on LinkedIn, at least in my circle, to something that I cannot log on to Facebook and not see an AI generated something, post, video, those flyers that are everywhere now. And I was one of the last people in my sphere to hold out on AI and using it, because I was like, well, I mean, I can just do everything. Like everything that people are asking it to do, like write a blog. Well, I love writing blogs. I'm great at writing blogs. That's what I do. Why would I use AI to do it? And that is still very much my motto when it comes to content generation and content creation. That is a thing that my firm, that my agency, all of our employees that are onboarded, we go through a literal lengthy talk that they sign in the handbook, that anything that goes in front of a customer cannot be AI created if it is not specified to that customer ahead of time. We have tools that we've used, like one of them that you and I have talked about is like website creation tools. Anybody can make a website in 4 minutes now. It makes no sense for us to do it in the way that takes days and days and days, when our competition can do it in 30 minutes for half the price, right? So, but everything else, our captions that we put on social media, blogs we write for clients, those are all human done still. And the reason for that is not that I'm incredibly staunchly AI. I know that there's such a pendulum of people who absolutely hate AI, will not support it in any shape or form. And then there's people who have made careers and lives out of it. They cannot wake up in the morning without asking ChatGPT what the weather is, right? Like there's spectrums to everything. And I had to sort of late in the game get on board with some of this technology and how to properly use it. But I'm someone that has always tried to use it or learn how to use it in a way that's the least damaging to me specifically, because I don't like to rely on stuff to, like, I don't want to lose my skills. It doesn't make sense for me to ask it how to write if I want to keep my writing skills up to top quality, because I'm going to lose, you lose it, you don't use it, you lose it, right?
So true. Yeah,
And
so true.
right. And so a lot of people, that for a lot of business owners, that was the easiest thing to like, subcontract was the writing. Hey, let's just ask ChatGPT to write me a Facebook post, and boom, my content's done in 30 minutes for the month, and that's where a lot of friends and creatives and stuff started to seeing that less work. But really, the transition that I'm making right now is, like I said, it's a lot less like, am I not using AI or am I using AI? I mean, anybody who's really in this field will tell you that they have to use it in some capacity. Otherwise, they are leaving lots and lots of money on the table, or lots and lots of time on the table.
True.
So I don't think it's fair to say that like I'm never ever going to use it, because I do use it in a lot of ways. But when it comes to where it fits in my work and with my clients, the thing that I have really pointed out a lot is in that post, which is empathy. It doesn't have the same, it will never have empathy the way a human has empathy. It can try to pretend it does. It can try to, mimic the tone of a human being, but there's an uncanny valley levelness to it whenever it tries. And it will never be able to listen to 4 to 5 years of brain dump in a 4-hour time span and know at the end of that 4 hours what this person needs to do step by step. It will never know. And because at the end of the day, it's still very much guessing. That is what AI is. It's a big guess. And I still trust my own, smart, educated guesses over an AI's
Intuition
educated
too,
guess.
one might say,
Intuition,
right? Like
human experience.
yeah.
Right. And AI can't read body language. AI can't, so it's not so much about do you use it or do you not use it? It's where do you use it and where do you not use it?
Yeah.
Like, where does it make sense for you to save time or save money or save, stress and frustration? And where do you not use it because you still want to have authenticity and genuineness and authority? If I consistently put out AI generated blog writing and suddenly there's facts in it that are wrong, or there's grammar in it that's not quite correct, or it's too polished up and too buttoned, which is not what people know me for, then I lose authenticity and I lose authority of being a good writer.
Yeah.
So it's not so much of when do you not use it, or when do you use it, it's when do you not use it.
Right.
And that's the big transition that I'm trying to figure out for myself and encourage other people to do as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really powerful. And I will say for me, with my sort of history with ChatGPT and AI and everything, I definitely went down that rabbit hole and over relied on it in certain parts, in certain things, right?
Yeah.
And because I feel like when we first started using it too, it was very different because not everybody was using it at the time. So at the time it was like, oh, here I wrote this thing that's like not really that good, or like I'm all over the place, or I didn't say this as clear
Yep.
as I could, or as few words as I could use, and then you'd put it in through ChatGPT, and all of a sudden you'd be like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing that I've ever seen or written or whatever," and you're so excited about it until everything is out there and starts to look like it.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes noise. Like it's gotten to the point for me, and I don't know if I'm sure there's a lot of other people like this too, but it's to the point now where like like I watch the videos, I read the ads, I look at the pictures, and the second I pick up its AI, my brain turns off. Like I
Yeah.
lose interest in being able to do it, like or in wanting to like, investigate or learn. I almost feel like I lose a little bit of respect for the person posting it. To be honest, I'm not saying this as a judge in a judgmental
No,
way,
no. I
but
think that's valid.
these are the subconscious things. Like this is the way that I'm noticing myself react or
Yep.
respond to it being presented to me. And and that's everywhere. Like that's everywhere. A lot of people are really feeling that. And it was interesting. I don't know. I should really look up the statistic to before I say it, but I read somewhere recently that more than half of users on social media now are bots.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
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 Like not real human beings. And that is really weird
I
and
saw
really
that
scary.
on TikTok the other day. They were talking about like, oh, I love this account, and all the comments were like, do you know that that's an AI person?
Exactly.
And it's something that truly I'm like, I'm gonna get scammed when I'm older because I can't tell sometimes. There's like the Facebook flyers right now that's what sort of spawned my post, my ire. Those are interesting in a lot of ways, but like that's sort of when I see that again, like you said, my brain just sort of glazes over it because it looks like everything else
It
now.
looks like
Everything
everything
looks
else.
the same. And I
Yeah.
think that's what a lot of people are starting to lose is that authenticity where, even when you made a Canva graphic, even if you used the template that every other person was using, right? There was still an aspect of uniqueness to it. Maybe you picked a different color than this one, like, right? It just felt a little different compared to the flat, glossy images that specifically ChatGPT, and I don't know what the other ones do, but specifically that ChatGPT makes. And they're incredibly noticeable and incredibly visible. And one of the jokes slash talking points that I always bring up with my friends, especially in the creative space, is like, I still very much believe I am a better writer than AI, than ChatGPT specifically.
100%.
I know that in my bones that I am a better writer than it because I have a master's degree in English. I've been writing since I was a child. That is the literal love. What I love to do is writing. Now, in 3 to 5 years, I don't know if I'll be able to confidently say that. In 6 months, I don't know if I'll be able to confidently say that with how fast it is developing. Same thing with people who are graphic designers, right? Like they are still better at building a logo that is usable than ChatGPT logos are. Because ChatGPT logos, just for everybody to know, they are not trademarkable. They are not
Ooh, I didn't know that. Interesting.
because you are using like public information to
Right.
generate this.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider is you can take what it gives you and you can recreate it in Adobe Illustrator or Canva or something, and that is usable, but a ChatGPT logo is not usable. And for graphic designers, right, same thing. If they know that they can be better than this. For a therapist, they know without a shadow of a doubt in their head, at least I would hope and pray, that they are better than asking ChatGPT what to do with your feelings. Please don't do that, by the way.
No
Please
kidding.
don't do that.
Yeah.
So incredibly dangerous. But there's a reason that there's new phenomenon coming out about AI psychosis or AI dependence or how it's contributing to dementia. And all of these wonderful, fun studies that are coming out right now to talk about the detriment of it And again, this isn't me dissuading everybody from using it, but I just want
But
to
this
point
is the
out that
facts. Like these are the
there's ethics
reality.
involved,
Yeah.
and there's consequences to everything. And the consequence of having something that is incredibly easy to use and accessible and that can do just about anything you can do in half a second is that you are going to start losing some of those skills that you have spent years building.
Mm-hmm.
And so if even though the creatives in the space or the practitioners or whatever it is you're using AI to replace, even though we know that we are better than it, it's also hard to justify, hey, pay me thousands of dollars for a thing you can get for free.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's not as good. And yeah, it's not, doesn't sound right. And maybe it needs a lot of tweaking, but you still have it and it took 5 seconds and it was free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or 20
Mm-hmm.
bucks if you pay the monthly fee or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where a lot of our fear comes in. And I think most people's fear when they have a replaceable job
Yeah.
is that, oh, even though it's not as good, that's okay for those people who are making it. Not
Right.
as good doesn't mean that they want to go and spend thousands and thousands of dollars. And that's why so many of my friends who are in SEO and copywriting and everything, they are struggling with their workload because they went from having, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to now they're struggling to make a couple $1,000s a month because everyone else can use AI to do the stuff that they were hiring them for.
Yeah.
And that's scary. And I think it also does the thing where every generation, a new list of jobs is on the chopping block.
Right.
And right now it's that.
Yeah.
And whether or not AI will have a boom and bust or not is sort of,
Up
everybody
in
will
the
say
air.
a different thing.
Right. Right.
There's everyone, the AI experts will say, no, 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 like it's going great. This is the future. People who are anti-AI will hopefully, like they usually say, like, well, hopefully it'll bust. And then there's too many things going on and it sort of wipes itself out. And neither of those things I think are 100% true, but only time will tell on how true one or the other is.
Yeah. Yeah. While I don't necessarily seeing it like bust per se, what I
Yeah.
do think is going to happen is that because I feel like you said it before too, maybe this is part of what was in your post about how like you can have the chat GPT, right? But actually
Yeah.
knowing even how to use it or what prompts to feed it to actually get what it is that you want from it, it actually takes so much more than what anybody even, I feel like can recognize. Like, I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm probably long in line here of people who have purchased very many tools, like AI tools, like custom GPTs to write sales pages. And, there's one that I use that like creates your human design astrology, gene keys, like blueprint, and then it writes the
Yeah.
copy for you and, blah, 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 and all of these things. And as much as I wanted them to work, and I really wanted to love them and everything, what I come back to is honestly more frustration than anything,
Right.
because I'm like, okay, even with all of this, it's like you still don't know me, like
Yeah.
you still don't get it. Like you still
Yeah.
can't. So I do think that whether or not it has anything to do with the industry itself, I do think there is going to become a time where people realize, oh, this is not actually as good as I think it is, or as good as it presents itself to be, because nothing can replace a human. Like it
Right.
just can't.
Yeah.
And there was one thing you had mentioned before too about like, oh, content creation, like, 30 months, 30 minutes, and you're done for the month and all of that. But what's the quality? What's the depth of that content? Is anybody actually getting to know you or trusting you or feeling any type of connection when they're reading? Like, it's
Right.
so frustrating. And actually, I find myself when I'm writing sometimes where like I'll say something and I'll put like, like there's those all like telltale signs, right, of AI, like
Mhm.
the truth, blah 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 blah, or the truth. Wait,
And
yeah,
honestly,
yeah, and honestly, yeah, it's like that. Or the new
yeah.
one that I see all the time is quietly. Everything is quietly. It's quietly
Yeah.
this. It's quietly that. Like all of these little things. But I think
Yeah.
because I'm reading constantly, obviously also immersing content, reading these
Yeah.
things, I find my own brain pulling them into write. And I'm like, how can I make this almost as messy as possible? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like just more real and just more human human. And that's why it's like go on all the ADHD tangents, go on all the little side quests in your writing,
Yeah.
because at least that's how our brains are actually working, it's not this clean thing. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, when you were saying that before, I was thinking of a friend of mine who she told me recently because she's always struggled with like content, making content. She's a phenomenal practitioner, intuitive medium. Like she's unbelievable, out of this world. And she's not that she's like old or older, like she's in her 40s, but like she was never on the computer thing. Like it was
Right.
computer technology was never her thing. So for her, it's really easy to just use ChatGPT, make a bunch of graphics, make a bunch of captions, she schedules them out, and that's it, she's done. And my
Yep.
question to her was, and how is that doing? Like, how's
Right.
that going?
Yeah.
Because like when you just see like you said, like when something is generated, like yeah, maybe you think it looks better than something that you could make on your own, and maybe in some ways that's true,
Yeah.
but like at what cost?
Cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, especially when it comes to social media, there are so many elements of them that are so strictly human. They're like my joke all the time is that people go to school for 4 years to learn social media marketing.
Mhm.
That's a career that people have. And to think that AI could replace every aspect of what that person does is just false.
Yeah.
And even if you build an AI agent whose job it is to be your social media manager, they are still not going to get the uniqueness of being human.
Mhm.
And the example that I use all the time is that if you're looking at your analytics, which I encourage every business owner who, especially if you're DIYing your social media, to check your analytics at least once a month, especially if you are posting consistently and you're posting 3 days a week or 4 days a week or 5 days a week, check your analytics every single month. But the thing with AI is even if you take all of your analytics and you download them and you upload them onto ChatGPT and you ask them like, explain these analytics to me and tell me what I could do better. It might give you, hey, your reels do better than your static images, so post more reels, right? It might tell you that your longer captions do better than your shorter captions, or that Monday around 9 a.m. seems to be the best time for your brand to post, right? But it doesn't have any of the nuance. Like, okay, well, which reels are doing better than others? Are there some static images that are converting? Are we getting customers from the reels, or are we getting customers from the static images? How are our stories performing? You can't give that to an AI agent. And you also can't really have it understand human behavior because it's just pulling off inferences. It's going off psychology textbooks and
Yep.
sociology textbooks. So if you are a brand that is geared towards first-time moms and that's your product line is for first-time moms, well, if they say, well, if it ChatGPT tells you, okay, your best time to post is Monday at 9 a.m. because over the last month you had most moms logging in at Monday at 9 a.m. or most of your audience logging in at Monday at 9 a.m. But it's July and it's summertime, and maybe she's allowed to sleep in an extra hour so that she can be on her phone in bed at 9 a.m. before she's got to get everybody up, versus September, where it's back to school. She's up at 6 a.m. because she's got to make breakfast, pick out outfits, pack lunches, and get everybody out the door by 7:30.
Right.
It cannot tell you that the best time to post for a first-time mom is actually later at night after 6 p.m. because she's up
Yeah.
all night with
Right.
that baby and she
Right.
is
Right.
scrolling. And things like that, an AI agent, a chat GPT, a custom GPT, they will never ever be able to understand that to that extent. They can't tell you why women scroll versus men scroll. It can give you an idea, it can pull facts from the internet. It cannot use that in any sort of strategy. So when it's informing you on what you should post or how you should post it, or it's generating content for you, or it's reviewing your analytics, none of that is coming with the why behind any of it. And that's sort of the biggest thing I want people to take away from when I talk about AI specifically, is I am not telling anybody not to use it. I think that in a world where anybody can do everything, it is the why that matters. You can learn rocket science on ChatGPT if you really wanted to. You could Google a YouTube course on it. I could learn Reiki right this second if I really wanted to and dedicated time to it. Everybody can do everything. I can build a website in 30 minutes. I can create content in a half an hour. I can write 4 blog posts in a day. I can do everything and anything that I want to do. Why am I doing any of it? And if you're a business owner and right now you think that you have to be using every social media platform, every scrolling platform, you have to have Meta ads, you have to have Google ads, you have to be everywhere and everywhere. Why though? Is it just because you see everybody else doing it? Is it because everybody else is making it look easy because they're doing it with AI? What's actually going to bring you in new people to your business, and what's actually going to convert those clients for you? And if it's not being everywhere and anywhere, then where is it and what is it? And that's something that I don't think AI will ever be able to replace, is the why behind what you do.
Yes. Oh my God, that was so well said. So well said. And, there was another thing that kind of popped into my mind too as you were talking earlier about how, right, like if you're pulling something in through ChatGPT to post it or whatever, you have to fact check it. You have to look through, is this accurate? Is that accurate? Right? All of these things, bless you. And um and one of the things that I think people don't necessarily realize is that ChatGPT and AI and all of these things, they're actually ripping people off all
100%.
day, every day. So when you think, oh, this thing just created this piece for me based on what I gave it to, it's actually pulling from other people on
Yes.
the internet. It's kind of plagiarism.
Yep.
Um, and I probably the same thing even with like the images and the graphics and things like that, which is right, like why you can't
Yep.
copyright it or trademark it or anything like that without it
Yep.
actually being customized in some way by a human being, right? And another thing too, kind of going back to like half the internet or more than half the internet not even being real human beings that we are
Right.
interacting with or talking with, like you said, the TikTok people who you're
Yep.
finding out
That
are
they're
not
just
actually
fake.
real people.
Yep.
That is all over Instagram. There's a great account. Oh, I hope I can think of this guy's name. Oh man, what's his name? I feel like I send his stuff to everybody. I gotta find it now. I'll have to put it in the show notes, but let me see. Does he come up real quick on my scroll? No. Damn it. Oh, it's funny. The algorithm is hilarious. I literally liked something by Miss Rachel before because she was like speaking out about, Gaza and all of this stuff. And
Yep.
like now, like that's just like all that I'm seeing right now in my feed. So
Yeah.
the guy
Hey,
is not
listen,
popping up.
I've got 2 little ones. Okay. Miss Rachel's my best friend.
Miss Rachel is a fucking
Miss Rachel's,
hero. Can we just
she's
say,
gotten me
like,
through some dark times.
yeah, Miss Rachel is
Yeah. Not to mention,
amazing.
she's just like an incredible humanitarian, like
She's
truly
incredible.
not
She's
afraid to speak
incredible.
up for what she believes in, which I love.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm getting chills. Yeah. But anyway, so there's this guy and he exposes a lot of the AI stuff, a lot of social media stuff in general, but
Yeah.
especially like where AI is really infiltrating and like what's AI versus what's not. And he was actually talking about there's this one, first of all, there's all those videos, like those videos that are everywhere where it's like that person and they're talking about the thing. There's I know there's these ones this with all these Amish people and they're doing all these things and none of it is real. And it's all going to sell you one product or a
Yep.
PDF or, like one little thing. There was this one guy, this Jewish guy on Instagram. God, I can't remember his name, and my friend Nikki had sent me a video of his, and I'm like, actually, like this guy. Like he's talking about money, he's talking about these things. I'm like, actually, really? She's like, oh, listen, he's not real. I'm like, but maybe he is. Like, what if
But
he,
maybe he
you
is.
know? And then I'm looking, I'm like, no, this guy is not real. And then you look, and they have literally millions
Yeah.
of followers,
Yep.
and are probably generating millions of dollars,
Correct.
and they're not fucking real.
And
They
they're
are
not real.
not real human beings. And who's to even
Yeah.
say that there is a human being behind that? Like, who even knows at this point?
Yeah.
And so, anyway, so this other guy, is it Brett something? Oh, it's going to kill me. But he was talking about this one woman in particular. It was like an AI character, if you will,
Yep.
and he showed how her character was created from all of the different women, like iconic women, like Brene Brown, Mel Robbins, like
Yep.
all of those, like so, like her look was like that type
Yeah.
blonde, middle-aged woman, what I like speaking about the same things, has a
Yep.
book, has a book yeah. And like giving all this advice and all of these things and like not real.
Not
Like
real.
not real.
Yeah.
So we have to
It's
like
scary.
what it's very scary. So it's like we have to like really think about what do we actually want to be a part of? Like
Right.
do we really want to be a part of that? And I'm on this huge bender right now of like not saying we should all get off social media 100% or whatever. I think there's always going to be a balance. There are pluses and
Yeah.
minuses and whatnot, but right now I'm on a huge like bender of just like not pouring any of my time and energy into there necessarily. And
Yeah.
I have found a beautiful home on Substack. I don't know if you spend any time
I
on
gotta get
Substack.
back on
You
Substack.
gotta
I
get back on
I
Substack.
read about it all the time. I make
Yeah.
one post on there and I'm on it daily and I just need to get back into posting.
You do. When you do, we'll do a live over there together because
Okay.
I'm obsessed with Substack. And part of it is because like it's just real human beings,
Yeah.
Like I look
Although
and
I
it's
have noticed
yeah.
like on Substack, oh my goodness, Substack specifically, there we go, that a lot of because as you're scrolling and it's an algorithm like any other. So you click on
Sure.
one thing and then it's like five other things related to that.
Yes.
And so I think one of the ones I looked at was about financial freedom. That's a big goal of mine, is to be financially free, time free, right? And I'm reading it and it's, finely written, just like anything else. And I'm just going and I'm like, I don't know, there's something that's sort of going off inside me, like a red flag that's going off. And you're just reading it through. And I think that's also something that scares me, is that I'm usually really good at spotting AI generated content. But the fact that I now have to question if that red flag is because it's actually AI, or if I'm just so dreading seeing it out and about,
Yeah.
because that's something where the AI checkers are all wrong. I've put
Mhm.
100% human work through it and gotten 100% AI generated score.
Wow.
I've put AI generated work through it and it gotten human written scores, right? Like that's all fun and games, but this idea that we're all starting to sound so similar, and our sentence structure and our syntax is so similar because everyone is using these ChatGPT or these Claude
Yeah.
articles. And also how we've become so removed from what a human sounds like, because we were saying it earlier that all of these AI generation platforms are using real life work. So originally, when everybody first started using ChatGPT, everybody sounded very professional and very, buttoned up. And it sounded like an academic paper because it's pulling from what's online, which is academic papers, articles, whatever their case may be. Even magazine articles are typically written in a more buttoned up voice, even if you're on like People or 17, because they're still professional writers. And so I've had articles published. I have had, I've been in scholarly works. I've had scholarly works
Same.
published. I've
Yeah.
had research papers published.
Hmm.
So that's how I've always written. But like the average Joe who does not have a master's degree in English does not write like that. But now that you can train AI and you can make it say, oh, we'll sound a little bit more like this and a little bit more like this, except no one had a foundation on what they sounded like before because they weren't writing regularly. So I can
Right.
feed in articles that I've written or published and research papers I've fed in, and I can get something that sounds in the realm of me. But most people don't have those examples. You're not going back into your like fourth grade pile of homework and
Right.
feeding that to ChatGPT.
Right.
So, and most people haven't written an essay since high school. So this idea that we don't have anything to compare your own voice to means that we're all starting to sound very similar.
Yeah.
So Substack, I love it. And I love when I can tell it's a very human written post, but there are some, especially and this is true for a lot of things right now, but in the productivity or the personal finance or the self-help,
Or even
everything,
business and marketing.
it all sounds so similar. It's so uncanny
Yes.
valley. And again, it's like you were saying, and like I was saying, it's just a scary thought that like you don't know who wrote this and if there's an
Right.
actual human behind it.
Right.
And most people don't like to come forward and say, oh, yep, this is an AI generated post, or like, yep, I used AI to help me write this. Because there's still a stigma that, okay, well, did
Even
you
though
actually
it's
write it?
so
Or
obvious. and so
Yes.
clear, like so
Yeah.
obvious and so clear.
Yeah.
And, one thing I want to circle back to, because I think it's really important, especially in the context of this conversation, is
Yeah.
what you said before about you were reading that article and something inside you was
Yeah.
like, So that is spiritual discernment, right?
Yeah.
Like that is you, that's your intuition. Like that's you being like, ooh, something is off about this. And
Yeah.
even though I think we're taught to question that, right? Or maybe like, oh, I'm being paranoid or like this or that,
Right.
that's actually a skill that we are going to all collectively need. My friend Ashley is huge on all this, is like we all need to sharpen that skill of discernment
Yep.
and really leaning into our intuition to actually trust, like, ooh, does this feel
Oh yeah.
authentic, or does this feel right, or does this not, right? Because I think, as like you said, you right now you're confident you're a better writer than AI, but you don't know what things are going to be like in 6 months.
Right.
So that being said, it's like, well, they can't take away your intuition. They can't take away that, like, especially females, we
Yep.
have a spidey sense like no other.
100%.
100%. And like that's, I think, what we're just going to need to lean into more and more and more. And one thing that I really like about Substack is that it does have the option to like mark something as like clickbait, or
Mm,
like it's not a spam button, but there's like something else similar. Like you can actually sort of like report if something
interesting.
seems off or
Yeah.
whatever. Not that there's like an AI police, on
Right.
there or anything like that, because I think the reality is a lot of people are using it. Most people are using it, you
Yep.
know. I mean, I'll use it, like I'll take this transcript, for example, from this video that we're recording, and I will put it into Claude and it will make show notes for me because I don't
Right.
need to manually go back and re-listen to this conversation and type
Correct.
notes. Back to what you said before, like, why are
Which
you
is six
using
years
it?
ago when I had
Yeah,
a podcast, I had to do that. Which
same.
is
Yeah,
that it's like that's that's the big point I make a lot of times, is that I never want to sound elitist when it comes to AI,
right.
because I understand there are a lot of people, again, who are very staunchly AI, and I 100% like those people are validated in the sense that like
Or
it is causing a lot of problems, and I would be remiss to say like it is not doing damage to people's brains and the political sphere and the
mhm,
economic sphere and
mhm,
the environment, right? Like
mhm,
there's a
mhm,
lot going on that is very bad about AI. And there are also things that either are very good and have helped people a lot and make things a lot easier, especially for neurodivergent folks who maybe can't figure out the way they want to say something, or they can't figure out the tone in which to say it. Or if you need to cut down on tasks that were incredibly menial that can get out of your head so you have more time to go spend with your children, right? Or your outside or your hobbies. Those are all amazing. And then there's also a camp of people in the middle who I think don't quite know the the dangers or the positives, where they use it because they learned about it and it's easy. And this is typically, you'll see a lot of older people
yeah,
fall into this category where they they adopt to it so easily because it is an easy platform to use and they can literally just type in whatever they want. But with that comes a lot of danger, in the sense of that if they are using it to ask a question or search something, then they are not fact checking behind it. They are not doing their due diligence because they don't know any better.
mhm,
Um, I know people, especially older people, again, who think that ChatGPT is a man that sits behind the computer and answers you live 24/7. I've had people who don't use ChatGPT after 5 p.m. East Coast time because they think that it closes down
wow.
because
I've
it's a
never come
person.
across any of this. Wow.
Yeah. And then I've also just met people who, again, they're like, they started a business and they were like, hey, I need help doing a logo. And somebody commented on a Facebook post and said, hey, just use ChatGPT.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And they don't know that they're in violation of a lot of things. They don't know that they might be plagiarizing artists. They don't know that they're committing, that they're helping, they're part of the small number and a big part of why people are being laid off in those industries,
Right,
right?
right.
And so part of it is, I think, just education. And I think that's something that a lot of AI experts need to incorporate in their businesses, and something that the friends that I have who work in AI, who have built businesses in AI, I only have conversations when that is at the forefront of their mind about it,
Mhm,
of how can we look at it for what is, like, how nuanced it truly is and how complex it truly is, And yes, there are positives and yes, there are negatives. And how do we be the most ethical about it?
Yeah.
And that's something where a lot of business owners, I think, they don't quite understand exactly what they're signing up for.
Hmm.
Something as simple as if you're not using an enterprise account for ChatGPT and you're just using the paid premium version, none of your stuff is your stuff. That is all going to their OpenAI training centers. That
Hmm.
is all public data to them.
Yeah.
They do, unless you are specifically using an enterprise, which keeps it in that little hub, which again, I mean, how sure are we even that it's really keeping it in that little hub? But it says it's keeping it in that little hub.
Yeah.
Just the regular free version or the paid version, same thing with Claude or Gemini or
Hmm.
whatever. You don't have control on where that stuff goes. That is then being used to train other people, which means if you're putting IP in there, if you're putting
Hmm.
unique thoughts or ideas in there, those are no longer your thoughts or not. And if someone does it before you and gets to the trademark office before you, you're done.
Hmm.
So just be safe as much as possible and really understand, like, again, the why of what you're doing. Is it saving you a bunch of time or are you just trying to cut corners?
Yeah.
Is it saving you a lot of money because it's doing the exact same quality of work that a human being is doing? Or do you just not want to hire a person, right? And pay their respective fee?
Right.
And especially when we get into your side of things with the holistic practitioners and the therapists and the healing,
Hmm.
that in and of itself, I think, is a whole other conversation on the dangers of using AI for any of
Right.
those things.
Right. Oh my
And
God. Yeah. I wish we had
it's,
more time to even dive into that right now, but
yeah,
I want to respect your time, get you off
yeah,
on time for your next call. Um,
yes,
but that is a whole other thing, especially again now in the world of, even just astrology, human design, like all of these things.
yeah,
And I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot.
yeah. It's,
Now,
it's,
Victoria,
it's,
where can people connect with you?
yeah.
Yeah, follow you.
Yeah, so on Instagram, I am Victoria DeVita Co. That's really the main platform I use. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, just Victoria DeVita, or Victoria DeVita and Co. if you want to follow the business page. And then if you're looking to be connected with me, if you found interest in anything I've said, if any of the problems that I've brought up for business owners, if they sound like you, I highly encourage you to check out my website, victoriadevitaco.com, and book a strategy session with me for 3 to 4 hours. We sit down, we go over everything about your business marketing wise. If you want to learn more about AI and how to use it ethically and effectively in your business, we can talk about that too. And that's again at victoriadevitaco.com.
And I have to say, Victoria is just so lovely to work with, so fantastic. Absolutely have loved you since the moment we connected, and highly encourage anybody to reach out who feels inspired to.
Thank you so
So,
much.
yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, for having this very important conversation. And hopefully I'll see you soon over on Substack.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll send you a text when I get over there.
Yeah. All right.